Today, I want to share with you 3 things that you need to be thinking about before you run to set up your LLC. Ready? Let's do this. Hey there, if you're new to the channel, my name is Jim Hart. I am a trademark and business lawyer, and I am here to help you get all the tips and tools and strategies you need to legally protect your online business. Now, keep in mind, the stuff I'm about to tell you today is good stuff. It is gold, but it is not to be construed as legal advice. I'm not your lawyer unless you hire my firm to be your lawyer. All right, good. Now let's get to it. Now, what I want to talk to you about today are things that you need to be thinking about before you set up your LLC. I get all sorts of people that call me to set up their LLCs, to do their trademarks, different things. And we get on the call and they just haven't really thought through some of the things I'm about to share with you today. And as a result, for a very small percentage of those people, we actually have to delay setting up their LLC. And so I don't want that to happen to you. For the rest of you out there, you probably want to make sure that your business is legally protected, but you aren't sure what to do, legally speaking, or in what order to do it in. And so this is going to be an especially helpful video for you today, because as a result, most of you probably don't do anything. Am I right? I mean, do you understand what I'm talking about over there? Yeah, I understand what you're talking about over there. Okay, that was a little weird. The problem is when you don't do anything, then you run the risk of getting into legal trouble later on. Now, a lot of you that might be just starting out, or maybe that have been in business for a while, you think, well, how bad can it really be? I mean, nothing has happened to me yet. Yet is the key word, because for many businesses, eventually, at some point down the road, you're going to run into problems. And if you don't have that LLC set up the right way, or if you mess it up at the very beginning, and I see all sorts of people that think that it's as simple as just filling out some paperwork and submitting it to the Secretary of State's office, and voila, you have an LLC. It is not that easy. There's lots of things that go into this that you really need to be thinking about to make sure you do this the right way. So let's go ahead and just jump into the 3 mistakes I see people make. And we're going to take them one by one. But the first mistake I see people make is they have a hard time picking the right name for their LLC. Now, I think a lot of you out there get confused because you think that picking a name for your LLC is the same as picking a name for your brand. Now, when we're talking about brands, we're talking about trademarks. When we're talking about trademarks, we're talking about the way the public in general, the marketplace, perceives you as a business. So a trademark is what identifies the goods or services that you sell in the marketplace as being connected to your business. An LLC, on the other hand, is kind of like the back office stuff. It is the structure that provides some legal protections to you if and when your business were to get sued, or you were to default on loans, or creditors would be coming after you, or any other type of thing that would happen that would cause you legal issues. An LLC serves to protect your personal assets from the debts and obligations of your business if you should get into legal trouble. So this is an important distinction, because basically what it means is if you're building a brand name, then you want to talk about the trademark stuff here. And the standard that we use to determine a name for your trademark is likelihood of confusion. In other words, is another name that's out there likely to be confused with your name if you both are selling in the same marketplace, the same goods and services, different things like that. On the other hand, when we're talking about an LLC, now the standard for what you can do with your name is going to differ slightly depending on the state you're in. But in general, what you're looking at with an LLC is to make sure that your name is not the same or exactly the same as another business that already exists in your state. So it's a completely different standard that you should be looking at. Now, for those of you that are thinking about, okay, well, how do I come up with a perfect name for my LLC? Just understand that you can pretty much do anything you want, because this is not the name of your brand. This is not the information that goes on the storefront. This is the information that goes on the contracts and lease agreements and rent agreements, whatever it is you have for your business on the back end, the bank statements, terms of service, privacy policies, all those things. That's where your LLC name will be. Your trademark is kind of like the storefront for your business and how people recognize your business. Okay, so if you're going to a Starbucks, you're going to a Starbucks, but if you're going to sue Starbucks, or you need legal information from Starbucks, or you're looking at the back end of their website, you're going to find a different name, probably Starbucks Corporation or Starbucks Coffee Company or something like that. I'm not exactly sure what the name of Starbucks is. Yes, it is Starbucks Coffee Company. Okay, so does that make sense? You don't go to your friends, hey, we're going to a Starbucks Coffee Company. You say, no, we're going to Starbucks, because that's the brand. Now, they do happen to include the brand in their LLC name or in their corporate name, but that's not necessary for most people. So you can pick your name, you can pick your initials, you can pick the street you grew up on, you can pick your kids' names, you can pick, pretty much anything that you want for the name of your LLC. But when you're talking about your brand, we're going to need to do a comprehensive search to make sure that your brand is not going to have any problems with it. So that's the first thing you need to know. When you're picking the name for your LLC, don't overthink this. Come up with a name. Check it against the database for your Secretary of State where you live and make sure it's not already taken. And assuming it meets the naming requirements of your state, then hey, you should be good to go. The second thing that you need to be thinking about when it comes to setting up your LLC properly is who is going to serve as your registered agent. Now, I've done a lot of videos out there on registered agents, what they are, what they do for you, why they're necessary. So I'm not going to get into that here today, but suffice it to say that there's really two options that you have when picking a registered agent. You can list yourself if you would like, although I don't recommend that, and I've talked about that in other videos, or you can pick a corporate registered agent, which is my preferred thing to do for most businesses that I work with. Plane going by, so quick coffee break. Going with my Portuguese mug here today. Now, if you do decide to use a corporate registered agent, I've got a link down below to some providers that I would encourage you to think about. And the way you're going to set that up, obviously, if it's you, you're going to list your name and your physical mailing address. For privacy reasons, I don't recommend that. If you do decide to use a corporate registered agent, each corporate registered agent you're going to work with might do things a little bit differently, and the state where you live and where you're setting up your LLC may also do things a little bit differently. But in general, you're going to go ahead and you're going to sign up with whoever it is that you want to use as your corporate registered agent. And once you've signed up with that corporate registered agent, then they're going to give you an address that you can use and further instructions on how to make sure that's set up properly for your LLC. Yeah, and it's pretty much that simple. All right, the third thing that you need to be thinking about is what your office address is going to be. Again, for privacy reasons, I typically do not recommend that most people pick their home address. This is where a lot of people do get stuck when they're setting up their LLC with me, is that I ask them what their office address is, and they say, well, can't I just use my home address? Yes, you can. But for privacy reasons, I don't recommend it. I do recommend at a minimum you're going to use a virtual office address, and I do have a recommendation down below. In certain states, you're going to be able to use a post office box. In certain states, you will not be able to use a post office box. So that is another option. You want to check with your state to see if that's something you can do. Alternatively, and what I recommend is that you use a virtual address. And again, a link down below to the recommended resource that I have on this topic. Now, if you've got questions about how to actually form your LLC, the process that goes into that, or what to do after you have formed your LLC, I've done lots of other videos on these topics. Just go ahead and click here somewhere. There should be a link to another video. And thank you for watching. Have a great day, folks. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.